Subgenius Sunday School. Moses 2. The Revenge. The Jews were forced by the Freemasons to build pyramids for the Pharaoh of Egypt. The Pharaoh, with her willowing blonde hair, was worshipped by the glorps of Egypt, who did purchase posters of her and watch her TV shows. But the Jews were not happy. The bagels were stale, and they were not even making scale, while hauling huge boulders of sandstone all over the friggin' desert and piling them up in front of the MGM Grand in Vegas. To make matters worse, the only entertainment they were allowed was the stinking Wayne Newton show. Finally, the Jews got their shop steward, Moses, to talk to the Pharaoh. He approached her and said, in a commanding voice, "In the name of Iacom, pay my people scale." "Go shove it," replied the Pharaoh, with a whip of her luscious hair, "I'm a star." So Moses promised the Pharaoh a course of 7 plagues. First was the plague of the TV guides. The TV guides for North Platte were sent to Las Vegas by mistake. Then there was the plague of Yugos. All the cars of the Pharaoh's people were forced into the shop, and they had to drive Yugos as loaners for a week, and it got worse. The plague of Shatners, the plague of wiener dogs, the plague of man boobs, the plague of having the Dallas Cowboys as your favorite team. And still the Pharaoh would not pay Moses' people scale. Finally, Moses brought forth the worst plague of all times. He called the head of all Jews, and also the head of Viacom, Sumner Murray Rothstein Redstone. And, using his great powers, brought forth the plague of being out of vogue. And lo, the Pharaoh was replaced by a young girl with bigger tits on her TV show. Then the masses did not buy her merchandise. Then the Pharaoh was no longer featured on the covers of People magazine. With this, the Pharaoh's powers of bargaining were destroyed. And the people of Moses were released from their contracts and moved out to Los Angeles. On the way they faced the waters of Lake Powell. And there was a worry of what to do. So they camped at the Holiday Inn, while Moses went up on the mountain to ask directions. And while Moses was away, did his people wander down to the bar for happy hour. And there was much drinking, dancing of disco, and vomiting into toilets. And all got militantly smashed. On the mountain, where Moses was finally able to get a good signal on his iPhone, he called Sumner Redstone, who told him to take I-15 to Barstow, and Moses did return to the camp at the Holiday Inn where there was much drinking. And Moses was angry. He was not invited to happy hour. So Moses held up the tablet of his iPhone and cast it down upon the crowd. And the iPhone did hit someone in the eye, and nearly put his eye out. And Moses was sued and lost in court. And while the Jews moved on to Hollywood, where they did make trashy, obsolete leftist propaganda disguised as entertainment, Moses was stuck, being a busboy at a truck stop in Needles.